All right, hi everyone. I'm back with another video. Today I really just want to talk about some One Piece with the most recent chapter revealing that Zunisha stated that she heard the drums of liberation. He or she hear the drums of liberation, and Joy Boy's here. And of course, the last panel of the chapter, we saw Luffy basically what looks to be melting. And I've seen these past few days. It's been videos talking about what his it's probably his awakening, or some people are saying that it's Joy Boy actually taking over Luffy, which I don't know if I would like that. I just feel that's something taking over Luffy, because what I felt with the whole story of One Piece so far, it felt like Luffy worked his behind off to get where he is, to even be able to get up to Yonko level, and for it to just be downplayed to say that at the end of the day when he got beat, he just got some dude to take over his body and win the fight. I'm not saying that he would necessarily had to win the fight with this if that was the case, but that CP0 dude who got in the way, who touched his shoulder and distracted Luffy, I think that was, of course, the main point of why Luffy got distracted in the first place. But I don't think it's gonna be anything in terms of like something taking over his body. For me, I felt that Joy Boy was a person, but it felt like with a Straw Hat. Luffy is called Straw Hat Luffy by other people, but at the same time, this Straw Hat has been passed down to Shanks. No one calls Shanks, hey, Straw Hat Shanks, but he wore that Straw Hat for like a long time, for like most of his adulthood, until he gave it to Luffy, because Roger gave the hat to him before he even went to Laugh Tale. And we saw in the flashbacks that Roger had on that pirate hat. And even Roger himself wore the darn hat when he was a kid. So, or at least when he first started out pirating. That's as far as back we've seen in Roger's life. When he first became a pirate, when he found Rayleigh, he had on that straw hat. So, I mean, it's something like that, but you don't hear anyone say Straw Hat Roger, I think Joy Boy is just more of a title, if anything. I'm not saying it could have been Joy Boy D, or not D, Joy Boy Willie. I don't know, something, right? It could have been something like that. But basically, what I'm saying is that for what this is, I don't know. Next week we're not gonna have a chapter. We're gonna have a chapter the week after that. So in 2 weeks we're gonna actually see what actually happens from this, and then after that we do have a break. And so basically, we're not gonna get a whole nother chapter of One Piece for a month after this next chapter. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I still feel that along the lines, people were like, okay, well, what is this? What is happening to Luffy? It could just be his Devil Fruit awakening. I think it is, because as we saw, it looked like maybe his hat was on top of his head and it was melting along with his hair. I think that's what was happening. It looked like that's what was happening. You saw steam coming from his body. I felt that maybe because he had just came out of Bound Man, that's what that was, as a residual steam. But no, it wouldn't make sense. It was actually like lifting up from inside his mouth and his body and everything. So it wasn't like a lot like Gear 2 usually has or something. But it was enough to say, okay, well, shoot, he's melting, so steam will probably happen to come off of him as well. And I think it's still going to go along the lines of the rubber, like, fruit stuff, because I've notated plenty of times before on past videos of what Luffy's fruit could possibly be. Now, it could be the gum fruit, but I think I've notated once before. I always felt it was weird how Luffy always called the gum no mi, or the gum fruit, but he always said, I'm a rubber man. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Are you gum or are you rubber? And I always went back to Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, talking about like bungee gum. It has properties of both what is it, rubber and gum. And Luffy just doesn't. And I'm not saying that Luffy is gonna basically just have bungee gum or something, but he doesn't stick to anything. He just stretches. And I would feel that when the Goro said, when they're talking about that they changed the name of the fruit, that people were thinking that the gum fruit is not its real name. I don't think that's the case. It could be that they named it something completely different, right? But it could be to where they changed the name. The previous name was something else, and they changed it to the gum fruit. Because it just wouldn't make sense, right? Like, Luffy doesn't stick at all. Why would you name it the gum fruit? It doesn't stick. He can't chew nothing. I mean, I'm not saying he can't chew. He got a jaw, right? But I mean, like, there's nothing sticky about it. And plus, for gum to even be sticky, it has to be wet, right? So I mean, what's the point? But from rubber, Well, no, well, let me say like this. Before in the past, I did notate how I remember back in Punk Hazard when Luffy was running through the factory. Behind him was like a trail of fire, and before I thought I was like special effects, like, oh man, he must be running so fast, he's just gunning it to get to Caesar Clown and kick his behind, right? But no, I think either what's his name, Kinemon even stated, hey man, isn't there like fire behind him or something? Or somebody said something about it, and I was like, oh, I guess it's real fire that's actually behind him. He wasn't in Gear 2, he wasn't using his Red Hawk or anything. It was like just a trail of fire as he was running, and it was weird. I always remember that scene because after that we got introduced to Luffy's elephant gun, and it was a bit later that we actually got introduced to Luffy's Red Hawk, and we were like, oh wow. Well, it was before that actually that we learned about it in 3D2Y, I think, when we first saw that on his Red Hawk. But you know what I mean, some people might have skipped that because it's filler. But so far, even since Gear 2, it's been a whole thing of heat. And it was like, well, why is there a thing of heat? What does that even matter, right? Rubber typically has different properties. When rubber gets superheated, there are polymers. Rubber is made out of like a bunch of polymers. Polymers, when it's superheated, they end up breaking. Rubber polymers are already long, they can extend, they can do this and all that. And I was thinking that might have been the properties of why the gum fruit has like a rubbery and stretchy like power base. But when they're superheated or beyond their point, those polymers break and the rubber turns into like a gooey like substance, and it doesn't turn back to normal rubber until it's cooled down. So I was thinking with this awakening, it might not, it's probably called the gum fruit because of its awakening. It's not gum, but like it has properties of gum. It's freaking sticky, right? It might be named the gum fruit because of its awakening. Because if that's the whole case, Luffy has been using sort of a fire base with some of his techniques, and especially with his Red Rock. Now it's kind of like a Red Hawk mixed with Conqueror's Hawk. At least that's how I felt it was. Now what he can do with his awakening is to be able, I feel that people were thinking it's like a special paramecia type of thing already, because of the fact that, you know, it's like he can subconsciously stretch without even stretching technically. People like Crocodile said, he said that he had to train this fruit to actually be able to have stuff go through him and phase through him and stuff. It wasn't just something that was just learned immediately. So, but when Luffy first ate his fruit, he just walked across the room, his arm was already stretching, you know? And that's something that he's not doing it mentally. Now, yes, can he do it mentally and just throw a punch? Yes. But it's safe to say that he stretches his cheek, or somebody else stretches his cheek for him, like Nami does. He just automatically stretches. It's not something that just he has to turn on. What else? And I mean, even with the fact that what this fruit can allow him to do, I feel that he'll be able to, since it's more like an activation, it's like an additive ability of heat along with the rubber and all this stuff. I think he'll be able to use a few more heat-based attacks. Probably it's going to be a lot hotter. Maybe it's more of a sticky type of thing, and maybe he can use his surroundings with his awakening. Maybe it can affect other things, because if that actually was his hat melting along with him, then that'd be great. And why I say that with his surroundings is, of course, we saw that from Doflamingo. He was able to turn other stuff in strings. I don't think it would be pretty stupid to say, oh, he can make this wall bouncy. That'd be lame. I mean, you talking about some people are talking about like he can just jump around and stuff. That'd be pretty freaking lame. I'm gonna be honest. I was thinking that one thing I did notate a few times before in past videos regarding Luffy and his awakening, his devil fruit, was in his Bound Man. The organ gun. The organ gun was always kind of a weird attack to me, because there was one scene, I think, when he was fighting Cracker. I don't know if he was fighting him or somebody else. Or maybe I don't know. But he had set up his King Kong guns, and like 4 more arms appeared beside him. And it wasn't like a thing where it was trying to make it seem like he was just punching so fast that that's what it seemed like or anything. It wasn't like a Gatling thing. No, he was stationary, and like 4 arms just like appeared beside him, beside his other arms. I was like, what's that? You know, and they weren't even moving. They weren't moving it. And then they started launching, and that's what his organ gun is. And I was like, okay, what does that even mean, right? Now, part of me thought maybe, I don't know, shoot, I don't know. But I was thinking maybe Luffy has possibly already begun to awaken his fruit when he first ate it. The fact that he's able to actually stretch without even meaning to, he's not activating his fruit to do anything. That's already one step. And then you're talking about like what even Kaido in these chapters, he's talking about what the gum fruit is doing. It's like rubber shouldn't be able to do that. How, like, I think I even talked about in the past video, how in the world is Luffy bending his arms and accelerating it, but as it turns? Like, I'm like, how is he doing that? Like, he has incredible control over his whole body for him to even be able to make up something as complex as Bound Man or just Gear 4 in general, especially Snake Man and Bound Man. Like, I would have never thought to even fold my legs into themselves and kick to be able to fly. I would have never thought to fold my arm within itself to make us like a really strong punch, you know? And even, what's his name? Doflamingo even said when he was fighting Luffy that, no, it was Cracker. When he tried to like punch Luffy while he was in his Gear 4, what's the one called? It's not a Bound Man. It's the Tank Man. When he was in Tank Man, he was full of food. He was like, it's still, how is this rubber still so hard but yet bendy, you know? So what I'm thinking is that he'll be able, for this to actually function the best, it's while I was notating that he's actually able to use his full body to its max. Basically, he's able to utilize darn near almost all of his body in a way that no one else really can, or at least like someone not a Paramecia, not a Zone, the other one, the people like those elementals, I cannot remember the name of it, like them. Like, he's kind of acting like Katakuri a little bit, where he can literally like phase through stuff. And maybe this awakening would let him actually let stuff phase through him now that he's more sticky. The polymers that are holding the rubber together are broken now, letting stuff pass through it. So now maybe his awakening actually let him turn into you know what, I'm killing myself. I cannot remember the name of it. It's not a Zone, it's not a Paramecia. It's a you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. Hold on. Okay, shoot, I got my iPad. But basically that's what I'm saying. And why I feel that way is we don't know when exactly Luffy actually awakened this fruit. Maybe he actually awakened it when he made contact with Kaido's last move. Because if that was the case, if he's able to let stuff pass through him now, he might have gotten hit a little bit, but it might be like an Obito situation where he got hit initially, but then, you know, remember the Sharingan awakened into a Mangekyo, and it just, the rock just phased through Obito. Maybe that's the same situation that happened with Luffy. Now that, okay, Elemental Devil Fruits. What is this called? Logia. Oh my gosh, I cannot remember that name. Okay, maybe now maybe he was a Logia this whole time, but his awakening allows him to use it more functionally. And maybe if he can interact with surroundings, what I was thinking, instead of just 2 arms with Snake Man going super duper fast, imagine him turning a whole landscape into Kongans and King Cobras and Pythons and stuff, right? That's overpowered. Luffy is already so strong, but now that he has Conqueror's Haki, like, I'm not saying he's unbeatable, but oh my gosh, that is, wow. I mean, Katakuri could technically do the same thing, but he lost to Luffy. I would say it's safe to say that he can't use Conqueror's Haki to the extent that Kaido and Luffy now can. I don't know. I think that's what's probably end up gonna be happening. And also, plus, you never know, it might be also a side effect to it as well, where Luffy probably is going to heal himself. Because what's never come up again, well, 2 things I never know is never come up again. If Luffy is again impervious to like blunt attacks, maybe even other attacks as well, unless it's Conqueror's Haki base now, or maybe Armament Haki. But I mean, still, I mean, Still gonna probably be able to hard to hit him, but I mean, especially if they stretch around your attack. But you know, he's not probably not gonna be able to be hit that much anymore, or at least take damage from a lot of other stuff now that he's able to just stretch around it, or is able to just basically go through him. And two, like I always remember that he did grow his tooth back. That's just one thing that's no one really ever like explains. Some people talk about it briefly, but he actually did grow his tooth back. I mean, that's actually pretty cool. And maybe with this form, this awakening, he can heal himself to an extent, but it's gonna drain him. We saw Law, we saw Kid, their awakenings drain them. It's gonna probably drain Luffy, even if he was able to turn parts of the landscape into King Kong guns and pythons and over Kong guns and King Cobras, whatever. He could probably still do that. Maybe he could even make another Luffy like Doflamingo made another Doflamingo. We don't know. He could. But if this is what it's gonna be, that would be pretty awesome. I think that's kind of what it's gonna be. And when he goes out of his form, it'll fit back to where the polymers stick back together in rubber when they cool down, and he'll just be able to turn back to normal. But he'll be severely weakened. And sometimes when it actually gets heated from that point, it kind of shrinks. And I think that's what maybe Oda was trying to go through with when Gear 3 was first introduced, why Luffy turned into like a kid, like at least the height of a kid. Maybe that's what he was going for. Maybe that was also another step in his awakening. Also, not only stretching without actually having to think about stretching, but now he's able to expand his body parts. And those 2 years of training, now he has like full control over how his body just moves. And this awakening, this fight with Conqueror's Haki, I don't know, maybe it did help him utilize his fruit to its fullest extent, maybe. But that was pretty much it. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen on the next chapter of One Piece. Hopefully it's gonna be super awesome. I just want to see what this is gonna entail. I really hope it's not something where Joy Boy is taking like over his body. I think it's just a title. I think some people are saying maybe Joy Boy, the dude who actually had it before, had the same fruit. It could be. I think he probably had the same fruit, and the awakening, that's what that's what Zunisha remembers, but I don't know, maybe it also has something to do with the Wheel of D. But that's pretty much it. I think that's what this whole thing is with Luffy, like quote unquote melting or whatever. It's probably just his rubber heating past its exhaustion point, and now he's just melting. I think that's pretty much what it is. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Subscribe to my channel. I didn't lie to you about the Spider-Man videos. I recorded them, but then they got corrupted. They will not upload. So I'm probably just not gonna do it. If anything, I'm gonna do some other types of videos and upload them. I haven't been uploading in a while. Been busy with work. So yeah, I'll see y'all when I see y'all. So have a great day. Stay blessed, and there you go.